Welcome to the Swine Nutrition Black Belt Podcast, the latest swine nutrition research digested for you. I'm your host, Clayton Chastain, and today we have with us Hilario Cordoba. He is currently a Ph.D. student at Kansas State University. So, Hilario, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do?
Yes, sure. Hi, Clayton. Thanks for having me in the show. As you say, my name is Hilario Cordoba, originally from Argentina. I got my DBM degree back in my country, then worked there for 3 years in the swine industry. And summer 2021, I moved to Kansas to start my Ph.D. program with Applied Swine Nutrition Group. And since that moment, I was working, all my focus research was on growth to finish pigs, looking at different inclusion of vitamins, different inclusion and sources of minerals. Also, we build a model looking at SID lysine to calorie ratios for a genetic company. And finally, a management trial where we use different feed withdrawal times and looking at the impact of that management in the carcass composition.
Yeah, so that last one was kind of the one that I was hoping to talk to you about today. So I was looking at that study with the different feed restriction lengths prior to marketing, etc. Would you mind diving into that and telling us a little bit about that study?
Yeah, so first to start a little of background of this study, this was supported by the National Pork Board. And when we market pig, we typically have a period of out of feed when pigs are transporting and during large in the packing plant. But also with the current feeder design, we can do quick adjustment and make that period more longer during they are in the farm in the last day before they get marketing. So, kind of the purpose of this study. So, previous data showed that previously, when pigs experience more than 16 hours without feed prior to marketing, what we observe in the hot carcass weight is a reduction of that weight. So, but also, what we try to see if there is any impact in the pigs that when we have more than one marketing event, because it's very typical today to have more one marketing event per batch of pigs in this U.S. industry. So we also look for what happened with those pigs after the first cat with the growth performance since they experience a period out of feed, if there is any impact when they are marketed. So we use 695 pigs in a mixed gender pens where we have 9 to 10 pigs per pen and 24 pens per treatment. So we weigh the pigs and assign them in a randomized complete block design to the three treatments. So the treatments consisting in 12, 18, and 24 hours of feed withdrawal, where the transportation and large time was included. So uh, since we have two marketing events, we call the first marketing event 15 days prior. We completely empty the barns, and the final marketing event when we actually clean all the barns. So to make sure what we did in each marketing event, so we weigh pigs individually in the morning of each marketing event at 8:30, and also we weigh feeders. Then we weigh the pigs again 8:30 in the night before we load them out to the trucks. So then to accomplish the period of out of feed for each treatment, so in the moment in the morning when we weigh them individually, those pigs under the 24 hours out of feed treatment, we shut down those feeders. Then 6 hours later, we shut down feeders for those pigs under the 18 hours out of feed treatment to finally, for those pigs that were had 12 hours of feed withdrawal, we had the time without feed during the transportation and the large time at the packing plant. So since we did these measurements, we also were able to calculate what happened with the growth rate of the growth performance of this pig between the first and the final marketing event. So we send these pigs to the packing plant and we measure back fat, loin depth, and also percentage of lean of these pigs. So moving to what happened in the results. So in the first marketing event, we sent the three heaviest pigs to the packing plant, and then the other pigs remain in the barns. So what we're looking at when we measure growth performance in the pigs that remains is that since they experience a period of out of feed when the three heaviest pigs were marketed, uh, if that time out of feed could impact in the next 15 days performance. So what we found was that there were no impact of this time out of feed in the growth, average daily gain, feed intake, and feed gain of those pigs until they were marketed. But also for the whole trial, we didn't find any differences in back fat, in loin depth, or percentage of lean for both the pigs marketed at the final and at the first market event. So now moving to what happened with the results about body weights. So when we observed the data of body weights recorded during the night, like this 12 hours before harvest, what we observed in the first marketing event is that those pigs that had 24 hours of feed withdrawal statistically reduced the body weight compared with those pigs 12 hours out of feed by 8 pounds, but no differences between those treatments with the 18 hours. However, in the final marketing event, we observed a numerical reduction of body weight of 5 pounds for those pigs 24 hours out of feed compared to the 12, but there was no statistical difference in those values. So when looking at the hot carcass weight, what we observed in the first marketing event is that pigs had no differences in hot carcass weight within the 3 treatments. However, in the final marketing event, what we observed was a statistical reduction of hot carcass weight when pigs experienced 24 hours out of feed compared to 12 by 1.5 pounds. So since we were able to measure the individual weights in the morning and in the night, we also were able to calculate the carcass yield using the weights in the morning and in the night. So when looking at the carcass yield for those pigs weighed in the morning, that is 24 hours prior to harvest, we didn't observe any differences in yield. However, when looking at the data in the final marketing event, we observed a statistical difference of 0.5% of yield for a reduction in those pigs 24 hours out of feed compared to the 12. But when looking at the results of the carcass yield using the live weights recorded during the night, that is 12 hours before harvest, what we observe is like those pigs 24 hours out of feed increased carcass yield by 1% compared to those pigs with 12 hours of feed withdrawal. However, in the final marketing event, you observed the same statistical difference, but the percentage was different. It wasn't at 1%, it was at 0.6% for those pigs. So another interesting thing of this study is that we were able to measure how the body weight changed between the morning and in the night before we load out pigs. So what we observed in the first marketing event is that those pigs that had 24 and 18 hour feed withdrawal had reduced the body weight compared to those pigs 12 hours out of feed. However, in the final marketing event, we didn't observe the same results. So the pigs 24 hours out of feed had statistically reduced the body weight, but we didn't observe the same differences between the 12 and the 18 hours feed withdrawal treatments. And one of the reasons why we observed that is because during the final marketing event, we had very high temperatures. And even though we have ventilation system to avoid that, we didn't get pigs eating feed when the feeders were open in the 12 hours treatments.
Would there be a length of time that you would recommend for producers to restrict feed prior to loading?
Yes, so we didn't observe hot carcass weight differences in the first marketing event, but we did observe them in the final marketing event where hot carcass weight increased in the 12-hour treatment compared to the 24. So thinking in a scenario where we had higher feed prices, so if the producers are thinking to shut down or feed deprive feed for more than 18 or 16 hours, as previous data show, that prices have to offset the potential losses in hot carcass weight.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I believe that's all we have time for today. And to everyone else, thank you for listening to the Swine Nutrition Black Belt podcast. Please visit us at swinenutritionblackbelt.com and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast channel so you won't miss out on the next episode. See you next week. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. and we are constantly on the lookout for the latest updates in swine nutrition. And if you have a swine nutrition related research trial that you would be able to share on our podcast, please send an email to nutritionblackbelt@swineit.com, and we would love to talk about your research. See you later.